And now we're kind of getting into the subjectivity of film emulation. And this is something that I think is an insight that I can bring to this process from a variety of experiences. Like, I worked on the Blade Runner Final Cut restoration. This was like a project that we all felt was like really important. And I was overseeing a flame session as we were removing a Steadicam shadow from a shot near the end of the film, which was always one of my little favorite sort of Easter eggs as a film fan, is that you could see this perfect shadow of a Steadicam late in the film, and then all of a sudden it was my job to remove it. That was not quite as egregious a revisionist history thing as I've been guilty of committing in my special edition history. So the problem with the shot was that they couldn't find the original negative. They felt like maybe it had been damaged or somehow lost, and so we had the highest quality intermediate print that we could get, and that's what they had scanned. And we started to do the work on it, and it was this really elaborate painting out process because there was a lot of anamorphic distortion, atmospheric haze, searchlights crisscrossing through the frame. So we'd worked for days on this, and then we got the call from the production. They said, "We found the negative, so we're going to scan that and send it to you." And so, of course, we had this hope that maybe we could just take the new scan of the neg and just kind of feed it into exactly all the same work that we had just done. And that was so not the case. So this very same piece of film, just one generation different, looked so radically different. I mean, everything about it was different. The color was obviously different, but so was the level of sort of distortion, and just everything about the scan was completely different. We had to start the work completely over again. So when you talk about like going in here and like choosing a film stock, for example, right? So here are our color negative film stocks that we have to choose from. So the default is 5218. Can switch it to 5219. You see I get a slightly different look on the reds. And these are telling you a little bit too about like what the film stock is designed, like what kind of lighting is designed. So this is a 500T, which means that it's ISO 500 and designed for tungsten light, whereas something like this, 250D, would be a faster film stock designed for daylight. We don't do a whole color temperature shift on it because we assume that you don't want your footage to turn blue and orange when we switch film stocks. We assume that you've color timed it to neutrality, but you can see how shifting to a daylight film stock changed the highlight tonality quite a bit. And then we also have the separate emulation for the films, for the print stock. And a question that I get all the time is, what's the right choice? Or maybe you would want to find out from your production like what your film that you're matching was shot on, so you could hopefully match it with this, and then maybe you would be disappointed if it didn't match exactly. And I want to kind of get back to this idea of like, film is not necessarily an exact science, or rather there are numerous places that creativity, subjectivity, and quality control can interject themselves into what we sometimes think of as a very technical process. If I shoot on this film stock, it will look like this. Okay, but yeah, then how was it printed? On what film stock? Or if it wasn't printed, how was it scanned? What was the type of scanner and how was it treated after that? We've almost never seen, we very much never have seen a piece of film that didn't have extremely professional, creative, smart, technically adept people interjecting a lot of subjective control over how the image that we're looking at looks in the final equation. So part of why we love film, in fact, I would venture to say a huge reason that we love film, was the gatekeeperiness of film, that all the film we've ever seen in our life has been made by masters of the craft. And so to me, the important part of Magic Bullet Film was not to make this rigorous technical exercise of like, I guarantee you that this is a rigid simulation of this particular film stock. To me, the more important thing were these creative controls.